Welcome to Fight for the Title. Week 5 of the 2024 NFL season is over, so it's time to look at the top takeaways from this week. It's crazy to think that we are over a quarter way through the regular season already. So many twists, turns, and unexpected outcomes have happened this season so far. Today, I will cover everything from young quarterbacks to TJ Watt and more. With that said, let's get into the first takeaway this week, and that is Kirktober is in full swing. On Thursday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons faced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a game that could have division seeding implications later into the season. The Falcons went into the game behind Tampa Bay in the division standings with a record of 2-2. They were still trying to figure out what kind of team they were going to be this season. Well, Kirk Cousins decided to throw the team on his back and carry them to a victory. Cousins has for some reason always played his best football in October, so it was very fitting that the first game of this month started with him playing in primetime. Kirk threw for 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, and over a 72% completion percentage. These are no doubt very impressive numbers for any quarterback in the NFL. One thing that sets it apart for Cousins is that for a long time there has been a cloud hovering over him about his primetime play. There was definitely valid arguments for that early in his career. However, as of late, it hasn't had as much teeth to it. He responded to the criticism in a more assertive way than he ever has before on Colin Cowherd's show this week.
What happened? What's transformed for you?
You know, it's hard to say. I think when you go back and look at it, I had a couple clunkers in prime time when I was a young player. But to be honest, if those games had been played at noon or 1 o'clock, it probably would have been a clunker anyways because of how young of a player I was. But the reality was I was playing on teams that were 500 teams. And in prime time, we often got scheduled to play defending Super Bowl champs and division champs and, you know, teams that were going to make deep runs in the playoffs. And so it was unlikely we were going to win going into the game. And then when we lost, it became, Kirk's not great in prime time. But if you really look at the production, I was pretty much the same player from just a statistical standpoint in those primetime games. We just weren't winning.
As you can see, he clearly felt slighted by the media, even though there was truth to his poor performances on primetime in the past. Even with my criticism of Kirk, it's nice to see him break free of those narratives. If you have followed him for any duration over his career, you would likely have heard this part of the year referred to as Kirktober, and this is exactly the reason why. There's more games to be played this month, so we should get to see more excellent play from him. It looks like this league may be in good hands going into the future with some of the young quarterbacks who are playing really good football. This may have been the best and most complete performance by all of the guys I'm about to talk about as a whole. I have 3 rookies and 1 sophomore player on this list. Let's start with our second-year guy, Stroud. After this week, he has led his team to a 4-1 record and put them in a good position to make a deep run. He faced off against the Buffalo Bills defense and still had a solid showing. Stroud ended the day with 331 yards, 73.6% completion percentage, and a touchdown. The touchdown was impressive in itself because of how it happened. He had a nice deep throw to Nico Collins to score early on. Next up is this year's Golden Boy rookie Jayden Daniels. He has looked the most complete this year of all the QBs coming out of the 2024 draft. It was not his best game in Week 5, but he was still able to lead his team to a 34-13 win over the Cleveland Browns. He also still passed for over 230 yards and a touchdown. I don't consider the Browns a great team by any means, but they do have a good defense. What Daniels is doing is reminiscent of what CJ Stroud did his rookie season last year. The fact that this was a broken franchise and Jayden Daniels is getting convincing wins over any team is impressive. Next is Caleb Williams, who has had his struggles this season, but this week he looked like the player everyone was hyping up coming out of the draft as the number 1 overall pick. With 304 passing yards, nearly a 70% completion percentage, and 2 touchdowns with no turnovers, it was a solid showing by Williams. This may have been the kind of game to boost him into the player he was projected to be. The last of these guys I want to cover is Bo Nix. No, I don't think he's having a great season. That's why these are this week's takeaways. He finally had a decent game. Nix racked up 206 yards, a 70% completion percentage, and multiple passing touchdowns. Overall, it was a super solid week by these young guys. Hopefully we get to see more weeks like this for years to come. Well, folks, We will not be seeing a repeat of the 0-16 Cleveland Browns or Detroit Lions. The final winless team has won their first game. By the title, you know that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Out of all the teams that would be the last to win a game this season, I didn't think it would be them. I mean, I had an 0-17 watch for the Panthers this season because of how they played early on, but definitely was not expecting this. They have plenty of talent on the roster to be much better than they have looked. There has been some debate on if their head coach, Doug Peterson, was on the hot seat or not, and Trevor Lawrence was a generational prospect coming out of college, but nothing substantial has come from it. With all of this said, they have a single-game win streak going. It's not much, nevertheless, it is still a swing in momentum from what they have going on over there. It was also against a division rival, even if the Colts didn't have their starting quarterback. Good luck, Duval County, you're probably gonna need it. For this week's bonus takeaway, how could we not talk about TJ Watt? He hit his 100th career sack against the Dallas Cowboys this week. The fact that he has this milestone only 7 years into his career is absolutely absurd. He is now only 15 sacks away from passing his brother JJ Watt's career sack total. JJ is widely accepted as one of the best to ever do it at his position, so this has been such an impressive feat by TJ. He was a factor against Dallas on Sunday with 1.5 sacks, and hardly any game can go by without feeling his presence on the field. After this week, it put TJ 59th overall in the all-time sack category. In order to break the top 10, he will need just 41 more sacks. With the way he plays, that is possible in 2 more seasons. If anyone has the chance to reach the record of 200 sacks in the modern NFL, it will be him. TJ has averaged just over 14 sacks a season, which will only go up before the 2024 campaign ends. This means that even if his play declines, as long as he has 14 sacks for the next 7 seasons, he will reach the record. That puts him at a 14-year career, but we have seen many edge players play that long and even longer. That's going to be a conversation for down the road again. As for right now, we have to just enjoy watching him and what he achieved on Sunday. Congrats, TJ Watt. That's all for this week. Let me know your thoughts and takes in the comments below. Subscribe for more NFL news and content. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.
After crew discussion, the runner was out of bounds before he fumbled the basketball. The ball be placed at the 39-yard line. It is a first down.
It's almost basketball season.